We are live? Are we live? We're live from the Meade County Fair 2024 edition.
Yep.
And again with us today is Mr. David Pace. He's going to, we're going to just talk about a little bit about the preview for tonight. Tonight is pretty straightforward. It's truck and tractor pull all night long.
All night long.
And maybe into the wee hours of the morning. You were just telling us how many hooks we have?
It looks like right now, if a couple of more trucks get here, it'll be 84 hooks.
Wow. 84 hooks. That's a lot. That's a lot.
37 two-wheel drive.
That's one heck of a hookup.
That's, I mean, that's going to go take us into probably the wee hours of the morning.
Well, that's one thing the NTPA does a great job of keeping things going. Our crew that moves stuff in, moves stuff out, they're very, very, very trained and talented to get stuff in and out of our arena. And it will move quickly, but you can only make so much stuff move quickly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it takes X amount of time at the very bare minimum to do something. And when you have 84 hooks, that's a long time. There's we noticed there's some flies flying around in here.
Probably
some
from
sugar
the time you
around
start, here. Pull up, back in, take off, get them unhooked. You're probably 8 minutes per pull.
And dirt.
So,
and dirt moved.
And then the dirt track fixed. And one of the things that, if you'll notice tonight, you'll see we've got the big sleds that they pull. Well, we rent a second one also. It's an insurance policy. I mean, you got 84 hooks sitting out there, and the first time that truck pulls that sled down there and it breaks.
Yep. And you can't run the rest of the show?
Yeah.
That's one heck of a liability.
If you think people on Wednesday night thought we needed more seats, if that happened, we would be in deep
stuff. I could
stuff.
imagine.
But man, let's talk about Wednesday a little bit. I mean, we didn't get to have. Sorry, everybody, we didn't get to have yesterday's podcast. We had, we're all busy and everybody wearing many hats. This man wears many hats. This man wears many hats. I wear a few hats, not as many as these guys do, but we all had things going on that we just couldn't get our schedules together to get over here. But let's talk about Wednesday was the rodeo, the first ever rodeo at the Meade County Fair, right?
Well, let me quantify that a little bit. We had a gentleman that was 78 years old, told us that he was 6 years old, there was a rodeo at the Meade County Fair.
Oh, wow.
So, well, in the last 70 years, it's the first one we've had. So
okay.
We'll call it the modern era.
The modern era
of the Meade County Fair. Okay, well,
it's the first rodeo our fair boards had in 70 years.
First one of our lifetime.
Of course, some people think I was here 70 years ago, but it really we knew starting out we would, and I think you remember from the show, be patient.
Yeah.
I told everybody just be patient. It's a growing thing for us. We had a little over 3,000 seats back there, probably a little more than that. And we noticed we needed 6,000.
Well, I would tell you there was a lot of spaces in some of the seating. The seats weren't completely full. It's just some people didn't want to sit next to some people or that close to some people, and you just can't do that and then expect to be mad because you were standing.
But lawn chairs were like 5, 6 deep around the arena. Then there were people 5 or 6 deep standing behind them. The stands that were there were pretty full. I mean, there were some spaces.
You know, the one thing that's really the problem, and I don't want to say a problem, it's actually good for us, that site where that is built is actually leveled. When we brought it down, the natural amphitheater seating that's around our main arena, people are spoiled to that. You can sit anywhere in a chair, sit anywhere in a bleacher, you see the track.
Yeah, because the track is lower than the rest of them.
We're used to things being flat, horses running flat, sled pulling flat for a horse pull. It's all flat and a fence. So when a lawn chair is sitting flat, looking through a board fence, it was difficult to see. But
I mean, it was successful.
It was very successful.
So you had 6,000 people come out. Probably needed 6,000 seats. You said so. Approximately maybe 6,000 people needed a chair. So that means that you've got an arena for motorsports over here with truck pull, tractor pull, demolition derby. Now maybe that's the next thing. You have to figure out how to build that up or be able to convert this quickly.
Well, we talked about that. We looked at it. We're working the track right now, so we were talking. What does it take? Everything's great if it's like the weather was yesterday and what the weather is today. We can tear it down, put it back. But if we tear that down and it rains on Wednesday night, we don't have an event the rest of the week in our main arena.
Right.
That, unfortunately, is that you can't put 2 foot of dirt fill in without compaction to make it work.
Right.
But, the thing about it is, I told them, I said, most of our fair goers love their own seat. They don't want to sit in a bleacher. They want to bring that lawn chair and their cooler full of water, and so we can sit right there, not bother a soul, and then go home. So we've been looking at it this morning. We've had people from Kentucky State Fair, ask them how they do some things, on how they set some bleachers. We've already been trying to reach out to rent bleachers for next year. We think we've got a game plan. We're looking at dates. We're looking at how we could make 2 days. I mean, we're just looking at alternatives right now, what we could do to make it work. But
now Kentucky State Fair, they do their stuff like mostly indoors, right? In like Freedom Hall, which means that they have a concrete base that allows them to build up on pretty quickly.
Well, they store their dirt in a barn on the other side of 65 off
and
of Crittenden Drive.
And then they just truck it in, right?
Yeah. And it takes them all night to do that. And we're looking at, and I'd love to build over here, maybe not all bleacher seating, but I'd like to put some dirt, 2 or 3 foot of dirt, this amphitheater style, build it up.
Just give it a little bit of a build up. So
kind of sit on a grade, basically, where rows of people could see over the row in front of them.
It wouldn't be bad if you had a little bit of a berm between the road and that too, so it would help control some of the people coming out of the, into the roadway and stuff too.
That's the thing. That's the path is from here to there. And I'm gonna keep talking about Wednesday a little bit. Our entertainment in the main arena was a hit. We had a lot of people there that we weren't expecting, and it really went well. It was over about 10:30. Had 2 good local young people, and we got to support both of them here. So it went off really well. We felt like it went off really well. We didn't want a dead arena. People going to the food booths, bathrooms, it would have looked terrible with nothing going on. So that entertainment, and it was a little loud for the fair office, but it worked well. And
they did a good job too.
Levi Wheatley did all the stage work and sound.
Yeah, people stopped and listened a little bit, and there was people that stayed and watched the whole thing. Yeah. I think it was. I thought it went pretty well overall. I mean. I don't think the live music was maybe promoted as well.
We did
because I didn't see it wasn't. It really wasn't in the catalog or anything. So, but I think for having that as an alternative during the like if you were came to the rodeo and you wanted to go watch something. You wanted something to do. Maybe not every event is your thing, and you wanted to step away for a little while to go watch. Did some live entertainment. It was a good. It was a nice little pairing.
It was a break. I thought. And we said everybody couldn't stay at the horse arena the entire time. They wanted something to eat. They wanted to go ride rides. They wanted to use the bathroom. So it gave them something. Well, instead of cramming in around everybody, they stayed over here, relaxed a little bit. You could sit anywhere you wanted, and there was unfortunately some people that were very upset. Facebook warriors that were on there letting us have it. And I want to thank the ones who stood up and defended the fair. Said, you've asked for this and you've asked for it. They went out on the limb to make it work for you. They brought in an excellent product. Give them a chance, and I appreciate that.
Well, you were open like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon if you wanted to get a seat, and you can't show up. And we said this on the podcast. You can't expect to show up at the last minute and then expect to find a seat. If it was that important to you, you should have been here early.
And they wanted to park right there. Also.
Yeah, no, you're not going to get that.
But we did change that, and hopefully some of those folks got to see that I was able to take with our event back there was the auction. We rearranged, I moved all the vehicles, the animal vehicles, and then we parked all the way down across the gravel pit area and put almost all the parking in the back. People thought, well, I don't want to park. Well, put them right at the event. And once they realized it, we've got a madness to what our meaning is. So, and please, if you'll just work with us, we'll take you down a great path. We're not sending you somewhere you don't need to go.
We, so that was Wednesday night, and I think it went great all the way across. Kathy and I went over and watched some of the Well, we tried to watch, but by the time we got finished at our gate, it was already full over there. So we stood around for a little while. But after you worked the gate all day, you're like, yeah, it's time to go home. So we left around, 9:30 or something like that. Well, we got to see a little bit, and it was pretty good.
I try to tell everybody, Mark, the best place to watch that show is about a third of the way up in that parking over there behind where the flatbeds are.
Oh, yeah.
If you go right up to the next row, that breaks over, and you're looking over the entire arena from up there under the shade trees.
So you could back your truck up there. And
if you'd have parked in line, sat in the bed of your truck, you'd had the best show in the country.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll have to think about that next time.
When I came, I'm unfortunately going to have to leave you in about 2 minutes. I've got to be at a driver's meeting on safety for
Let's talk about that real quick.
So
we already talked. We have 84 hooks tonight. We have NTPA in town tonight and tomorrow night. And with 84 hooks, it's a long time, but it's a good show. It means that we're going to have a lot of entertainment tonight. We're going to be here, till after midnight, and that's just part of it. And that's good for all of us because the food booths will be open. And, they'll have. It means a lot of people will be here. I expect it's going to be a nice night. I don't think there's a lot of there's nothing in the forecast. It looks like it's going to
weather service, and I want to thank Jeff Cox right now for all the things he's done for us on this, trying to keep us informed. He's kept us on top of what's going on, and he said, warmer temperatures but great weather the rest of the weekend, you're welcome. And I said thank you. And one other guy I haven't talked too much about, I wanted to thank J.J. Scarborough and that group from the jail that have come out and helped us daily this week to make us successful and getting the bill and to make it clean. And they've done a great job with it. And
it always feels great here. I mean, it's always I think it's well put together. I mean, you can tell that it's not like a big city production. It's hometown production.
We want it to be
lots of people. Lots of people put volunteer hours into doing this every year. They're not getting paid to do it. They're not getting. These people are showing up. Whether they're selling tickets, they're manning a forklift or manning manning the gates and the money and things like that. There's lots of things that go into this, and we know you have to go.
One quick story about last night. Steve mentioned all the girls that were in the preteen and teen. I think it was 50 girls, 50-something. And this morning, one of the judges from that event sent a big text to the ladies that ran that, wanted to compliment them on how well it was orchestrated, went together, complimented our community on the hospitality, complimented the fair on such great facilities and how we all work together. But she said the one thing that stuck out was a sense of pride from everybody in your community. So
that's
gotta
awesome.
Go on that one.
Well, I'll add on to that on your way out here is that this. I was talking to the guys from the Demolition Derby last night when they were getting ready from Top Dog. And they said that they had. They travel the county fairs all over the. See you. Thanks.
Oh, you missed it there.
So they said they travel to the county fairs all over the state, setting up demolition derbies and things.
Right.
And they said this is by far the best with the best facilities, the best volunteers. And they really gave us a lot of props, and that was from their workers. That wasn't from the top dog himself. It was just from the guys that come in and show. They said, "Listen, by far, this is the best fair in the state." I said, and I told them the same thing we were just talking about with David. Is it's a community thing.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of pride that goes into this week. And not just pride, but just family wanting to serve each other. It's really, that's what it comes down to. We say pride, but it's really about serving one another in the community. And it's good. I mean, I love living here in Brandenburg. I grew up here. We've raised our family here, and it's because we have great friends and family. People who are willing to, work with you, pray with you, pray for you. And you can't get a better, country, field than right here.
Or community.
A big community home field right here. So if you're out there watching this from way out and you're looking for a place to call home, Meade County is a great place. I mean, a lot of people come in here from the military.
Yep.
Steve can attest to that. And it's a great place to raise kids. It's a great place to get involved. And we've been able to plug in, and you've been able to plug in here, and it's been a blessing, I think. And you've been a blessing to the community. I think that you're doing.
I've been hustling all week. I've lost my voice.
I know.
Boy, everybody asking me all these questions about the messenger and giving me all great feedback this week. And then, of course, when you're out there on that side and they got all the stuff going on, it's hard to talk over that. So I've realized that I've had to use my voice a lot.
It's also lots of motorsports. So there's lots of dust and lots of fuel in the air and stuff like that. Yeah. We noticed that. I mean, one of the things that's caught me is that you hear this cough that I have. Well, I don't have this cough before I get here. I haven't coughed all morning.
Yeah.
I sit down here after a few minutes, and the dust and stuff got to me a little bit. And it's like, it's like, I got all of a sudden it's there. But not as much as the rest of the weeks, if you've noticed. So, but so what else is up? I mean, tomorrow, I don't know. Are we doing a podcast tomorrow? Or?
Yeah, we'll probably do when it's the last night of the podcast, just to highlight anything that went on if we can get it in. I know it's my last day to record the pageants, and I just want to tell everybody, the announcer, Gus, last night had mentioned that I would have those up last night. No, I will have them up after this weekend, potentially on Monday. All of the pageants will have their own video. You can go to meadecountyky.com, and you can watch those back. I'm just going to give you forewarning. The lighting sucks. This is the first year we've recorded indoors. And I have done everything I can to try to make the white balance look good, but it is what it is. Hopefully we grow a little bit more by next year and I can put some people on the cameras. But it is an account and a recording of the pageant, so it'll be uploaded for free. You can go online and watch it at meadecountyky.com. I wish I could make each participant's video, even better, but we had some audio problems the first night, and audio was fixed the second night, third night, and then last night's was good. We'll have the pageant tomorrow. I did add some lighting to it yesterday, which did improve. But, when you get to do something for the first time, and much like the rodeo, you kind of learn what works and what you need to do to improve. And I think that we can make it better. Yeah. And that's what I loved about getting the opportunity to have done this with all the equipment that we have, is to figure out what works without interfering with the
what's
process.
Going on. That's the key. That's the key, is to make sure that you're trying to blend in as much as possible.
Yeah.
We know there was a couple of people that said something about the camera being in the middle. Well, that's a learning point. You'll work through that, and then you'll have, like you said, the lighting and things like that. But it takes year one. You have a debrief at the end of any of these.
But I don't think that there will be a single parent that is sad that we didn't at least provide this service, because it may be not the best quality. It's not like a TV Miss America pageant, but the fact that there's a recorded quality video that you can see it from multiple different angles, pause, rewind, fast forward, listen to what they say, or when these young ladies are old enough to be in the Miss competition, you know what I mean? They're walking back and showing their kids, what they did and how they did, or something to that effect. Having that historical record and being able to find it at a place that and you can trust at the Meade County or at the meadecountyky.com. And by the way, guys, I'm in the works to try to change that. It'll be themessengerky.com. But right now, just one bite at a time for a big elephant. And that's what I've had to take. This is going into our 7th month of new ownership under Meade Media Group. We have digitized. We have, the papers are in circulation beyond the borders of Meade County, drawing attention to Meade County, right. With our neighbors at Fort Knox. And I know I had a lot of feedback this week saying, well, I don't care for all that other stuff, that's not part of our county. I hear you, but it's important to the other people that come in here that are strangers like me at one time.
You haven't limited what's in there from Meade County.
Nope.
You've expanded to what's going on on Fort Knox and Radcliffe and such, because we're trying to expand the readership and service more people in our community and bring more people into our community. So Meade County is
either
still
through tourism
Meade County is still the basic onus of the paper. It's the focus of the paper is Meade County. But then you have people who are affected and affect us around us.
Yeah.
And those things are important too. And so you'll see articles about what's going on at Fort Knox because it matters to a lot of people from Meade County.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but you're also going to see articles about farming on the front page. You're going to see articles about the fair on the front page. Each section of each of these things affect a group of people within Meade County.
Yeah.
But when you affect one of us, you affect all of us. So it's good for us to understand and how do we embrace that as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're trying to find that balance of. And I think you're doing a good job of it. I really and truly.
Well, and there's always going to be criticism when you own the paper. But this I will say, and I'm not a bashful about it or anything. As the owner of Meade Media Group, we own this asset, the Messenger, and I don't think our ends stop here. We're a company. We want to grow. We don't want to be limited. And I think for the longest time the paper has been limited by paper only. Well, now that we're in the digital realm, there's a lot of activity in the digital realm.
Well, I mean,
but what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to apologize for asking questions. What I will do is apologize for providing my own personal opinion about something. But I will ask questions that provoke a discussion in our community because everybody has their own opinion, and we need to have a conversation. If we can't have a conversation with one another and still be friends or neighbors, etc., then we, too, as a small community, will be divided. But questions related to politics, questions related to local government, questions related to government, I'm not putting an opinion in. I'm not directing your opinion. If I'm going to ask a question, it's based upon fact. And if you don't like how the question makes you feel, especially when I ask you a question, how do you feel about this? Well, then tell. But don't be disappointed in the messenger for asking you the question, because we should know how that makes us all feel, whether it's about politics, whether it's about a change to an ordinance, or whether it's about something else.
Yeah.
Asking you how you feel about something and giving you the fact about it is an important part of news, but it's an important part of news that it lets you develop your opinion and not the paper force one upon you.
Right.
And we have done great work trying to make sure that that's what we're doing in the paper. Now, I know we do this Meade Truth, and I'll say this over and over again. When we do something that is civic and community related, whether that's with our elected official.
I mean, it's important to make the distinction that Meade Truth is
a Republican Party.
It's the Republican Party buying time on Meade Media Group.
That is right.
Right. So this is not the opinion necessarily the opinion of
the Meade Media Group.
Meade Media Group. We are purchasing this time from you, and you're doing the production now.
Now, if incidentally some of the topics are one-sided, well, I can't help that. This is a partisan platform that broadcasts on Meade Truth only when there is a civic responsibility to report the information that's being discussed. So I've opened this up. The Democratic Party can have time. They can do the same thing that the Republican Party has done, because I'm sure they have their own points of view that they make. But when we're interviewing somebody that is an elected official, well, I think that people, voters, whether you're Democrat or Republican, this will go live on the on the Messenger KY. Because we should be able to hear from our elected officials, and I can't help it that everybody voted for the Republican Party. You know what I mean? That is what it is. But anytime you can get somebody that's in an elected position to take time to discuss, David wore his hat as the fair board president, and that's all we've talked about this week.
But he's also been on as mayor.
He has been on as mayor, and he wore the different hat. So in those unique situations,
and you don't discriminate between Republican and Democrat. David is a registered Democrat, if I remember right. So
he is.
I mean, I know the mayor is actually an open.
It's not.
It's nonpartisan. So, but still, I mean, it's.
And it's that's the part that you have to balance. And, I just don't get fired up too much on social media. But listen, whether you're Republican or Democrat, we have numerous advertising opportunities that do reach our community. And it's because we ask hard questions. When we did the interview with David, and there was a lot of discussion. Well, they did their last city council. They didn't get to talk a lot. The citizens didn't get to ask them questions or propose debate. And whether that's good or bad or everybody liked it, I do know that we did do a podcast. You should go back and watch it because it did have David on there, and we asked him challenging questions.
Yeah.
And
we were actually
them.
complimented on the questions that we asked.
And the firmness.
And the firmness of which we asked them. We did it without being, without being mean and cruel or whatever and being one-sided. We asked because we were trying to learn ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're
What's the motivation?
we're hoping to ask those questions that maybe you're asking out there.
That's right.
So that's why we do it. That's why we enjoy doing this. This is fun to us.
Yeah, it started in the basement. But at the same time, we're trying to educate. If we get off course,
That's right.
Hey, let us know. But
our number one goal is to educate people about the legislature, the process of the processes that are going to our everyday government, and we want to make sure that because I think a lot of times people get into this idea that government is out to get them because they just don't understand.
Well, when we rely too much on government, it can be.
But sometimes government does.
Yeah.
And so it's our job to point out when the government is overreaching.
I would say
and it's also our job to point out when they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, and it's just the way it's set up to do it. And sometimes it's unfortunate that some things affect others, some people more than others.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately part of it. And there's always going to be things that people take to heart more than some. The thing is that one thing that we learn in when you go to like election school to learn how to campaign school, and is that most people.
Is that at college? You go to college for that, or where do you get that from?
Oh, they have different classes. So I mean, I'm sure they do have in college.
Anything to make money.
Well, but in the grand scheme of things, most people do not really take too much of an opinion about what's going on in politics until just a few weeks before an election. Most of the time, most people. And then the other 15 to 20%, I mean, and that number's probably gone up a little bit over the years because of the divisiveness of politics in the national level, especially.
Yeah.
So those people are basically pulling it at the other 80, the other 85 to 80 to 85% to try to pull them to their opinion.
Yeah.
And and that's kind of where it leads us onto the national scene where we've got Kamala Harris is now the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party. That's going to be an entire discussion of ours in the near futures. How do we how did that happen?
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into it right now.
Yeah, but it's but that's going to be a question that's going to come up. But we need to ask those questions.
Yeah.
We need to get into that so people understand what happened, how did that happen, and what it really means.
Yep. Nope. And I asked a question earlier in Facebook this weekend. How do you feel about that? Because people went to the polls, people ran in a primary, people spent a lot of money to run in a primary against the candidate, and when your candidate drops, I got it that they're running a ticket and that this person is who they have as their vice president, and you can say, well, they technically voted for this person too. You can, but that person isn't the ticket, and that person picked them to be their vice presidential candidate. It's not like they ran for the seat. Of course, they interviewed for the job, but at the same point, now I don't want to get down this road right now.
I think you're going down the road.
Yeah, I don't want to go down the road, but
I just wanted to put it out as an example.
For national news, I mean, she got an endorsement from Obama, and that's great. For the fair, though, I'd like to reel this back in.
Yeah, let's get back to the fair.
So I do want to say thank you to the team that's out there. If you don't know it, the messenger team is like baling wire and duct tape to try to deliver a newspaper. It's very expensive to print a newspaper. If you don't know this, I'm just telling you, a lot of communities have lost their newspaper. Fort Knox, Radcliffe, many across the state.
So you have the costs that go into it are the cost to print it, But that's actually not even close to being the most expensive piece.
It's the payroll.
It's the payroll. And the payroll goes to adding content. Right?
Yes, it does.
Adding content and laying it out, making sure it looks good and it presents well so that you can actually read it.
Well, and to that point, a lot of these ads were designed in-house by our team. And, our between Hannah Hayes, who's getting ready to plan the next phase of her life, she's came to me wanting to be a lawyer and go to law school and, and write news stories. And she did both, and she did a phenomenal job on the sales side of getting this to where it needed to be for the Fair Board. So we had enough coverage to cover the cost of actually putting this together.
Yeah, it's not like you made money off of this, right? It's about getting everything together for the first time. Make sure that you have the right articles, the right information, right?
Well, and a lot of that happened with Nancy Frazier and coordinating with the Fair Board staff and each of these different events, and we put this fair catalog together. We've gotten so many compliments, and thank you so much, but I can't take credit for this. We all did our part at the Messenger to put this together, and this is just the first of many products that we can produce for our community to help bring it together. And I'm really proud, being an out-of-towner and the acceptance. I got it. I'm going to not step on everybody's toes, and I will step on some people's toes. But news is news and facts are facts. And at the end of the day, when we can produce a product like this that everybody's proud of, that really makes me feel good. And I've been, coming every day to try to be interactive with the community and stuff. And, I've planted my flagpole in Meade County. So it won't be me that's the generational guy. It'll be my kids' kids. And I hope to be just like many of you who grew up here, raised here their whole life. And my kids can say that too,
That's the plan,
Mm-hmm.
and to do that, and that's why it's important to understand what's going on in your local government and such, so that you can make sure that our goal is to make sure that we have a government that allows us to plan into the future to make sure that this county is here for many generations to come. It's been here for a long time, but it needs, in order for it to stay and stay the way it is. You have to plan. You have to be ready to make decisions. And
like I said, I'm grateful to have the Meade County Republican Party as a piece of the content. I look forward to getting the Democratic Party to have content from their side because without both sides of the conversation, I think it does an injustice in order to educate our community. Both parties, independents, libertarians, whatever your affiliation is, because most people will go to the polls during a general election. They necessarily don't always vote party politics, and that's okay. But educating on who's running for, and I'm going to be promoting voting. I can't tell you how important it is to get out and vote. We can talk about this subject all day long, but I don't want to take up any more time. But look to the Messenger. The Messenger is going to be the place where you want to find your local information. A lot of nonprofits are in our community. They do a lot of stuff. There's so many involved in this fair here that are nonprofits. And I want them to come and lay their information in the Messenger. We've helped Sierra's House, and we promoted Sierra's House. They sold out. They had so many tickets, they didn't even have room to feed everybody. We're doing stuff with St. Mary's, St. Mary Magdalene's. Is it St. Joseph's? I think. Anyway, it'll be in the paper. St. Martin's. They're having a picnic coming up. All of the churches and the nonprofits, we want you to come to us with some of your events because we know that you're going out to our advertisers and asking them to donate and support you. Well, I want your stuff to be in the paper so people know what's going on so they can come and support it.
It all works together.
It does, absolutely.
It all works. It's a circle. It's a little bit like the circle of life, right?
Yeah, we're doing some neat stuff. You get coupons. There's going to be, some of the more businesses come on board with a coupon. I know we always have the Colton's $5 off coupon. I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, we're glad you got the $5 off coupon back and stuff. And I want that section where the yard sales are happening so you can grab the paper, fold it in half, and circle off the ones you want to go to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are so used to going to Marketplace. Well, what happens when all that crashes one day? Because AI, we just experienced
Plus, it's nice to have it under in your hand sometimes, just to be able to say, I went to this.
How many times have you driven out into the country and you lost signal and you can't pull your phone back up with that list you had? So
that's it. It's getting harder and harder to lose signal, but it's still you lose signal in some areas of especially this county.
Yeah. Well, listen. All I can say is thank you for doing this, Mark, with me for the last few years. This is our third year doing this.
Yeah, third year of the fair.
And it's
we're going to miss Fancy Farm this year because
yeah.
I've got some personal things I have to
Same.
take care of, and you got some things you got to take care of. So that's going to be a shame that we're going to miss it for the first time because we've been doing Fancy Farm since we've been doing this. So
yeah.
I'm disappointed in that, but that's what can we do?
No, it can't be at the same place at the same time all the time.
You can't do it. So.
But we will be there again in the future. Next year, I know I will probably be free from distraction. But, the neat part about that, and when we do it, is you don't have to wait you can watch it on KAT. You can watch it almost pretty much anywhere. But for our channel, it's uncommercialized. We give you live coverage as it happens and kind of make you see around. Yeah.
And in between, you're seeing everything that's going on in between. We do some commentary, but for the most part, we let the people speak for themselves.
We have, pretty much. But you can go check some of those posts on the Meade Truth site. So, but for us, have a great night.
You too.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be on live tomorrow for our last podcast from the 2024 Meade County Fair. And we look forward to, spending that with you. Come on out tomorrow night and talk to us. We'll be around the fair, whether it's whether it's here in this booth or around the different areas. Come out and talk to us. But most of all, come out and have fun with your family and spend that with the rest of your community.
Have fun at the fair.
Have fun.